Hi, I'm Elaine Harding. Welcome to today's project on my blog at stampwithelaine.com. Yesterday saw the launch of this butterfly bouquet suite. It's an early release product from the 2021 to 2022 annual catalogue, and it will be available from the 2nd of March until the 3rd of May 2021. The products are the stamp set. I haven't received mine yet, it's on back order, and it's just a single stamp. As you can see from here, it's all joined together and it fits on the largest of Stampin' Up's acrylic blocks. The single stamp retails at £16 and it's bundled with the Brilliant Wings dies, which in fact is a wonderful set of dies to have. There are 12 dies, I think, which coordinate with the single stamp. This is the die. We'll cut out all 6 butterflies in one fell swoop. And then you have all these other butterfly elements, the open work dies, which are absolutely gorgeous. The designer series paper that goes with this suite, it's not a suite, it's a collection, they call it a collection, is 6 double-sided designs, and there are 8 sheets of each design, so in a pack of 48 sheets altogether, and that's the reverse. This particular sheet of designer series paper, you'll find that this single die will cut out all these butterflies at the same time. Cut them out separately. And then remember those tins that we had? You can store them all in the tins once you've die cut them. Also in the collection are these natural birch papers. There's only 2 12 by 12 sheets in the pack. They are reversible. There's a very fine pattern on the back, but on this side there is some wood graining. I don't know if the light will catch on it, but there are striations here, just like you would get in natural wood grain. It's almost a very thin veneer sheet. There is a caveat on the papers, the butterfly bijou and the natural birch. It's only while supplies last. The other items you need to make the card. Did I show you the card? Oh right, this is the card we're making with just the dies. So we'll need the dandelion 3D embossing folder. I've chosen this sheet, and you need a 3" by 6" piece, so cut it in half to make it go further, and that goes on the inside here. Treasured tags Pick-a-Punch for this bit here. You need the sheet that cuts out the 6 butterflies. I've already done that, so we'll need this butterfly here. And I also cut out one in vellum to match that, and I've stored it in this little box. I've used this die to cut out the one in vellum for this butterfly, so I'm going to leave it in this box. Just jade ink and the basic rhinestone jewels. The stamp set I'm using for the sentiments is the lovely You stamp set. The Butterfly Brilliance cling stamp set doesn't actually have any sentiments. Bring in my trimmer. I'm going to put it sideways like this so you can see it. This is my template, and I've cut it at 5 3/4 inches by 11 inches. In metric, that's 14.6 centimeters by 28 centimeters. So let's cut that at 5 3/4 inches. Cut the card down to 11 inches. So trim off at 11 inches. And we need to cut 2 parallel lines here. We align this at 1 1/4 inches to the right of the cutting groove, which will be here, and we cut from 1 3/4 inches down to 5 1/4 inches. And leaving it in the same position, you scoot it along to line up the left edge at 1¼ inches, which is here. Now I've already left the blade at the 5¼ inch mark, so I'm just going to cut from 5¼ inch up to the 1¾ inch mark here. Bring in the scoreboard and you score at 7 inches, and then you want to partially score between these two cut lines. So you score from 1¾ inches down to the first cut line. At 1¾ inches, run your stylus down, and from the bottom score up to that second cut line. Okay, at the 3½ inch mark you score all the way down, and then at the 5¼ inch mark you partially score to the cut line. Run your stylus down from the 5¼ inches and score up to the second cut line. Now we want to reinforce the creases, so this is going to be the inside of your card where the 7-inch score line is, so you crease that, and then this cut line pops out. It's a mountain fold, valley fold, mountain fold, so this is a mountain fold. And by doing it this way, you won't get the score line down the middle here. It'll be just a T-bar section. Now you need 2 pieces of Just Jade cardstock that measures 3¾ inches by 5½ inches. You save one of it to emboss, and the second one you want to cut. And this is how you cut it. You put the short side at the top. Okay, align it at the 1½ inch mark, and then you cut down from the top down to 1¼ inches. Okay, lift that cutting blade up and then cut from 4 inches down to the bottom. Then you rotate your cardstock anti-clockwise, because this section is longer than that section. Okay, you don't want to cut the wrong bit off. So again, line it up at the 1¼ inch mark this time. Alright, and then you cut from 1½ inches where the cut line was down to the bottom, and then scoot that along, align it at 1¼ inches, and then cut from 1½ down to the bottom to create your T-bar section. So this will go on this side here, like so. For this piece, you need to emboss it first. So bring in the Dandelion 3D embossing folder, and you want to get as much of the embossing in as you possibly can. Okay, to emboss this you need platform 1, your Dandelion 3D embossing folder, place it with the hinge at the top, and then you use the grey plate 4, and then you're ready to run it through the machine. To simplify matters, you can put the one that you cut previously and trace a line across there, and you're going to cut this to create the T-bar panel for this side. Okay, but you want to retain these 2 bits so that you can glue it to the sections here. I aligned this at 1½ inches, and I'm going to put my cutting blade at 1¼ inches and cut to the top. Lift the blade up and align it at 4¼ inches. Press the blade down and cut to the bottom. Okay, then rotate it. This time you want to rotate it clockwise because you want to cut this section here, not that. That's the narrower portion. So align that at 1¼ inches. Make sure that's on the cutting groove. Drop your blade in at 1½ inches and cut down to the end. Okay, slide it over and align it at 1½ inches and cut from 1½ inches down to the end. So now we're ready to glue these pieces onto this part of the card. The next step, obviously we need to trim this down so that it would fit here. These sections here measure 1¼ by 1¾ so we need to trim it to 1 inch. So you want to trim it off the top here rather than the embossed bit. So 1 inch. Now we want to take this pattern paper and I'm trying to stretch it, so that's why I've added that matte layer here. So this is 3 inches by 6 inches and I need to cut it down to 3 inches by 5¼ I think. 5¼ inches. To cut the T-bar for this section here, we align the right edge at 1¼ inches, which is here. So 1¼ inches, and we want to cut it to the top there. Okay, lift the blade up, slide the blade at 4 inches, put the blade down and cut to the end. Alright, then you want to rotate this anti-clockwise. Align the paper at 1¼ inches and cut from 1¼ inches down to the end. Scoot it along to 1¼ inches on the left hand side to the left of the groove, cutting groove. Align it at 1¼ inches again and cut to the end. So now this piece will fit in here. So let's glue that. And then these pieces we want to cut at 1 inch by 1½ inches. Now we've got the end piece. Now this end piece is 3¾ by 5½. So that's 9.5 by 14 centimeters. This piece to go on top of that is 3½ by 5¼ in metric. That's 8.9 by 13.3. Bring back the dandelion embossing folder, and we only want to partially emboss it. So I'm going to scoot that right along to the end here, like so, and then pop it through the machine, platform 1 and the grey platform 4. and I need to put it this way up so that the hinge is on the side. Now, it's not recommended that you do that, but the cut and emboss machine opening is slightly wider than 6 inches, so it shouldn't harm your embossing folder if you are careful to scoot your platform more to this side so that it doesn't interfere with the hinge of the embossing folder, and then just run it through. Then you're ready to glue this piece onto your card base as well. Now I'm going to trim a piece of Whisper White at 1 inch. Bring in the Treasure Tags Pick a Punch, and I'm just going to pop this in all the way. Make sure it hits the end of the punch and punch. Bring in the Just Jade ink, and I'm going to stamp it as close to the end as I can in the middle. I'm also going to trim my sentiment down and trim off the curved ends as well. So I'm just cutting off this curved bit here. I've put dimensionals on. I'm just going to adhere that to the front of the card. Now I'm ready for the butterflies. I'm going to just lift the wings up on this butterfly by putting my nail there and just lifting the wings up. Then apply a bit of adhesive and make sure that the butterfly doesn't extend over the card, and also put a bit of adhesive on this vellum butterfly as well, and stick that on top. Make sure it's bonded before I take my finger off. We're on the last stretch now. I just pop these rhinestone jewels on top to cover up the glue. And voila! The card is completed. That's the card finished. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial, and I'll be back with more cards as soon as I get the stamp set in my hands. Thanks for watching. Bye!